You have to work from a point of fact. You have to work from the truth. How much money are you making? How much money are you actually saving? What do your assets produce in income? What's your real rate of return? When you work with actual facts, you can start to make a factual-based plan versus this wishy-washy idea. I think too much of retirement planning is based on this misconception that one day, we've deemed at the age of 65, you're going to have enough money. No one knows what enough money is. No one knows how to get there. And that's what's causing so much of the problems, I think, with generally the retirement crisis is people aren't dealing in facts. They're not telling the truth about their situation or what it actually takes to retire today.
Do you think it's a couple other things? Because I agree with you, first of all, by the way. But I laugh because you can see, like, people think they're healthy, but you can see their gut.
Yeah.
Right? They don't go to the gym. And then they say, hey, I'm doing okay financially, but they don't have money to pay for whatever they need. Right. And so it's a bit of a delusion, right? Don't you think?
It totally is. You know, we call it the 3 F's inside of what we do. When we build a game plan for someone, we start with the facts. So what we do is we look at what are your actual facts of your current financial situation. And then the best thing to then focus on after the facts are the feelings. How do you feel about it? Right? Because when we look at this, I remember the first time I sat down with a financial coach, we went through this whole exercise of how much money I had actually made, right? I had this ambiguous idea over my career, 5 years out of college. I'd actually made almost $1 million if I added up every dollar that had passed through my personal bank account from the time I started working to 5 years out of college. And then after we looked at what I'd made, we looked at what had I actually kept. And after I added up all of my net worth, I had $28,000. I'd made $1 million.
Oh, wow.
I had $28,000 to show for.
How much did you think you had made?
I thought I'd made a couple $100,000, right? I mean, because I'm making an $85,000 a year salary at the time. I had some bonus potential.
You kept 3%.
3%, yeah.
I kept nothing.
Nothing. And so once I looked at the facts, and then I was mad about those facts, because looking at it saying I'd made $1 million, it was $980,000, and I'd only kept $28,000. So facts, feelings, and then you can focus, right? Once I know where I'm at, and I have some type of a feeling attached towards it, then I can then focus on how do I improve this situation.
Yeah.
Do you think that is something with our culture, though, that we like to focus on feelings over facts currently?
I think that's way too much feelings over facts for sure. And that's, again, I believe there's a massive financial retirement crisis out there, and that's because people feel like they deserve something. They feel like they've done enough to get it, but they've never worked with facts. And so if you can get the right blend of the right facts, the right details, the right information, and then we have to cognitively put our brain into, or our feelings into the money that we have, because money represents our future. It represents the time that we've traded. And if we're disassociated with it, then it's so easy for money to slip in and out of our bank account today. It's all digital. We don't touch it anymore.
I remember talking to Kiyosaki about this because he's like, your financial is your report card.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, everybody focuses on their GPA and their report card, and that's apparently really important to a lot of people. But then after that, it's like it just goes away. And I'm like, well, okay, so how would you grade yourself on your relationship with your kids or your health or your financial health or your spirituality? You can put a grade on all of that. And people just don't.
They don't. Well, and when you do put, it's forcing yourself to tell the truth, Danille. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, when you tell the truth, you have nowhere to hide. And that's my favorite part about dealing with facts is once you know the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly, then you can deny it or you can work within it. And working within the truth allows you to build a plan where you can start progressively making improvements on your report card.
Yeah, and before we jump off of this, don't you think who you hang out with makes a big difference? Because most people just enable others. Like, I see this, right, all the time. Like, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. And they don't really, like a really good friend, like I have friends like this now that just stop me in my tracks and go, come on, man. Like, you can do better than that.
Well, and I think that's the quality of a good friend. When someone holds you accountable to what they know you want, what they know you're capable of, but they don't let you talk yourself out of it. They don't let you lie to yourself, because we're the best at lying to ourselves, saying, I'm going to make an excuse for that. But if we get in the habit of doing that and we don't hold ourselves accountable, it's at some point we're going to have to pay the price of not focusing on the details of our life.
Yeah, because I think changing your circle of influence is a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
So you said that we've decided the retirement age is 65. Do you think that will continue to be the decided retirement age, or that's going to go up over time?
You know what? You can already start to see it happening. I mean, right now people are talking, and maybe it has to do with health. Maybe humans are living longer. I hope we are. But you can see people now talking about 75 is the new 65. And I think there's a lot of spin behind that. People can't retire anymore at 65. And so
what a horrible spin, though.
It's a horrible one.
Who watched that?
Yeah,
Nobody.
nobody does. But again, this kind of comes back to they haven't looked at the facts. They don't have a facts of what it takes to retire at 65. So yeah, I think retirement age will go up. I think probably with Social Security, there's going to have to be some reforms that eventually are going to come down the pipe. So not only from Social Security, just from the lack of preparedness, retirement age will go up.
Yeah, because the thing is when you retire, the one thing that allows it is your financial stability.
Yeah.
Right? And that's being kicked down the road.
Yep.
You often emphasize leverage, clarity, and systems over pure grind. So can you kind of explain that?
Man, I don't know where I got this from. It could have been Kiyosaki. I don't know. But at some point, I had to realize that working hard isn't getting me what I want. I grew up, for me, I grew up with a father, and I'm so grateful for this because I've never been as scared of hard work. My dad built with his own 2 hands the house I grew up in. He worked a full-time job, and then at the end of a full-time job, day after day for 4 years, he built the house that we then eventually lived in. And so I always grew up with this attitude that if you want something, you just work hard, right? And at the end of the day, the challenge with working hard is there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much I can do by working by my own efforts. But when you start working smarter, systems, leverage, connections, then you can start to quantum leap forward. You can start to accelerate your pathway forward. And so for me, when I first got into real estate, I worked hard. I found all the properties. I rehabbed the properties, or at least that's what I thought I did. I'm not a very good rehabber, but I rehabbed them. I managed them. I qualified tenants. I dealt with evictions. I did all of that. And when I really started to break it down to realize, I'm getting further away from financial freedom because I'm trying to do all the work myself. And I couldn't scale beyond 3 properties and hold down a full-time job at the same time. And so it wasn't until I realized I've got to start becoming a CEO managing towards outcomes rather than trying to do all of the work myself that things started to move forward.
I love the way Kiyosaki breaks this down in the cash flow quadrant, right? The ESBI. The E is employee, S is self, and B, of course, is business, I is investment.